Mackay. Gulf Harbour Radio, Gulf Harbour Radio. Yeah, I know it's early, Barry, but seeing as you're a single-hander and all that, I thought I would take you now in case you need to get that engine. David's just said you need to move because the weather direction is changing. Go ahead, over.
Let's see, our wind is 8 knots. 8 knots from the east to northeast. 8 knots from the east. The sky is 100%. And it looks like we've got some convective activity around, although no thunderstorms or lightning yet. The sea state is nil. I mean, it's less than 1 meter. There's just nothing out here. And the bar is 10-10. I had 1010 in the bar. It's been steady since yesterday, over.
Yep, all copied that. Boy, there will be some people that would love your flat seas. Those coming into New Zealand are getting sick of being tossed around. 1335 south, 17524 west. Nearing Wallace, 4.5 knots on a course of 270 true. 8 knots from the east-northeast, and he's about to get the engine on to get in. 100% cloud cover, bit of convective activity around, but lovely flat seas and a bar of 1010. And I presume you're not going to be spending too much time in Wallace, over. Yep, roger that. So does David have a comment on? Yeah, I'll just pass the microphone. Stand by.
Yeah, howdy, Barry. Looking at the weather, it is changing. The winds are going to be backing through tonight and tomorrow, slowly going from east to, as you said, northeast to the north, and then looks like it probably looks like pretty much out of the north by 4 a.m. However, then it's going to, we've got thunderstorm activity there, by the way.
He's got convective activity around him.
Yeah, I heard that about the convective activity, but yeah, that you could see it on the satellite imagery. There are definitely CBs about. And so the wind's slowly going to go to the northwest, north-northwest, which I don't think you want, but that's later, a little bit later on Friday. So your plan is to get in tomorrow morning, is that correct? Over?
Yes.
Yeah, roger, David. Tomorrow morning by 10 a.m., over.
Yep. Okay. Let's see here. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. Looks like northerly winds, which won't hurt you at all. And yeah, well, good. I think you'll make it in just fine. Yeah, there is a lot of convective activity throughout the area, all the way out to the Solomons, and then of course Fiji and Tonga have got their share. Samoa is not so good either, so it's good that you left there. Anyway, here's the chief.
All right, well that's good. You can get that engine on and make some progress, Barry. And yes, it looks like Alula's radio is still on the blink for transmit, but I have a position for him which I'll read shortly. So we're clear with you, and yep, have a good safe entrance tomorrow. So good morning or good evening everybody. This is Gulf Harbour Radio. It's been a busy day, that's why I think it's morning already. Patricia and David, ZMH 286, and it's been a really messy day here, and I can see from the comments coming in from those approaching New Zealand, it's not exactly spectacular conditions out there either. It is just been a changeable day from one half hour to the next. currently we have about 99% cloud cover with passing showers, 5 to 10 from the west. An hour ago it was from the north. 18C, it got to 20 today, 1011.7. But anyway, a ruffian have said that the sea is beginning to settle for them, which without their mast I'm sure they will be most happy about. They are currently at 32 degrees 20 south, 17424 east on a course of 185 true at 5 knots, and seas are much better for the last little bit that they have got before the work starts. Camelot, they had really rough seas last night after the net. They just slowed down to deal with it, which was okay because they're just positioning well for arrival. They are doing well. The seas were 4 meters, 6 to 7 seconds, so not very pleasant at all last night, but much better now. Their 4 o'clock position was 32 degrees 47 south, 17402 east on a course of 175 true, 6.2. Lovely 10 knots of west southwest, 50% cloud cover. The seas are now less than moderate, 1 to 2 meter plus every now and again southwest, and they have 141 miles to go to 9 pins, so they'll be in late tomorrow afternoon, so this will be the last report from them. Alula.
You want the forecast for them?
Yes, I'm going to just wait though to who else is coming in. Yeah, let's do Alula now. So I know that you're able to hear us. So any of the boats coming in, this is David with tomorrow.
I'm talking about Camelot.
Oh, I'm sorry. I had moved on to Alula, and David's got Camelot. Okay, we're up to 32 degrees, and here's David.
Yeah, right. I think your email wanted some ideas on what's happening tomorrow. So, yeah, from what I could see here, light winds, west to northwest, about 10 to 15. Really not much at all. You might see up to 20 knots if you're a little bit delayed, but I believe you said you were arriving in the Opua area tomorrow morning. I'm not sure on that, but
Yes.
anyway, so light air, and shouldn't be much of an issue at all for you. So then back to the chief.
Yes, I didn't know whether you were going to handle everything shortly or not. Anyway, let's go to Alula. This comes in from Mr. Garmin because their transmit radio. Have I put them on the... no, I haven't put them on the growing list of radio problems. Alula will be arriving Sunday/Monday. They are currently at 29.6. This is from the Garmin. 176.467. And they have a south-southeast of 5. It says miles per hour. You people with Garmin's, if you would just calibrate them in when you set them up into maritime terminology, that would be really, really good. I don't know whether 5 miles per hour is in fact 5 knots or whether it is indeed miles per hour. It does seem a bit strange for Garmin to be talking about miles per hour. Anyway, have you got something for them too? Because I know you guys are listening, Jimmy and Andy. Here's David.
Yep, so what I gathered, you wanted a bit of an
Jimmy
update,
and Jimmy.
and we're a bit worried about the lack of air, and that, I'm afraid, is what is going to happen. You're approaching the center of the high, if you can call it a high. There's not a whole lot of pressure to begin with in the high, so virtually not much air at all. Looking at Saturday, I'd see maybe northwest winds, maybe 10 knots or so, 10 knots. That won't hurt you from where you are. And then I think you said your arrival was possibly Sunday, and now we have a problem because it appears to have completely changed, and I'm looking at southerly winds 18 to 20, gusting up to 26. Ouch is about what I said when I saw that. So yeah, not so good going in the Sunday time frame as you approach New Zealand, I'm afraid. So I know you can't talk, but there is the picture. Maybe it'll change tomorrow, but we'll keep an eye on it, and we'll let you know. So with that, Chief.
And if you didn't get that clearly, just send me a message on Garmin and we'll just respond very briefly. The trouble with the Garmin is you have to be very, very brief, so it gets a little bit difficult. But, that's the story for Jimmy and Gemma on Alula. Okay, let's go to, those that tuned in early would know that Mackay is not too far away from Wallace. He'll be getting in the morning. Very flat seas and just about to turn the engine on, I presume, after the net. Kota Nui, I am assuming that Kota Nui is in Tanna. If you call in, folks, and give a position report, we really would appreciate it, you're finishing it rather than just disappearing. Because there's no AIS and there's no message to me that you have arrived. So if you have been, and this is for everybody, if you have been checking in here, please do finish things off, because I'm like an old mother hen and I do get worried about boats that we don't know what has happened. Right, well, there's a few people to talk to now. Coho, Gulf Harbour Radio. Wow, you're getting stronger and stronger, Gordon. Must be getting closer. Go ahead.
Okay, so we're at 28 degrees, 30 minutes south and 169, 37 minutes east. We're steering 160 true at 4.5 knots motoring, and the wind's less than 5 knots from the south, and we're surrounded by wall-to-wall fair weather clouds. So that's what we've got, and not much wind here, over.
No, you're in quite a flat area, aren't you? Coho is at 28 degrees 30 south, 169 37 east, 160 true, 4.5. I didn't hear the engine on though. It was very, very quiet. Have you got the engine on, over?
Sorry, the motor's on, but I missed the question.
Yeah, I was just asking because I can't hear any noise from the motor and I assumed it was on. Less than 5 knots from the south. So any more comments? Yeah, David doesn't seem to be able to rustle up any wind for you folk around that area. So just have to quietly chug on. Is there any hope for the future? I'm just sort of trying to force his hand a bit here. It's really funny, isn't it? Sometimes people really need to have the wind drop, and then sometimes people need to have the wind go up. It's a bit like farmers with rain. Just stand by a minute, Gordon.
Well, looking at the big picture, I guess we're going backwards on this. But anyway, I'm looking at Sunday as an example. We've got the high, the oncoming high is going to be in the mid-Tasman. So in other words, almost smack dab between New Zealand and Australia. And it's about a 1028. So that's good. That will provide wind. Now, whether it's wind that you want depends on where you are. So if you are, let's say, let's pick 170 east, that line, up and down. If you're to the west of that line, those winds are going to be pretty much out of the south to southeast, depending upon where you are. So all the way up to Vanuatu, all the way down to 35 south. That's what the winds are going to be. And yeah, that'll be pretty good. However, if you're to the east of that line, things depend upon where you are. So if you're east of the line and south of 30, the winds are southerly, I'm afraid. The isobars have a rather strange shape in them near that area, and that's causing the wind to change just a wee bit. Now, north of 30 south, the winds look like they'll be southeast, and reasonable winds for sailing, from what I could see. If you're anywhere around the date line, that again depends upon what latitude that you're at. If you're at, say, 20 south around the date line, the weather is not going to be very good at all, because we have got a fairly active trough that's going to be in that area. If you're, say, 175 west and you're east of the date line, the same thing. We've got convective activity, so thunderstorms, squalls, and wind pretty much out of the east or southeast. So that's the story for Sunday, Sunday the 3rd. And then looking at, let's look at Wednesday, the 6th. The high that was in the center of the Tasman is now pretty much over New Zealand. The center of the high itself is pretty high up in latitude, or low in latitude, if you want to be totally technical. I would say that we're looking at about 32 south is where we find the center of that high. And it's ridging both west and ridging to the east as well. So there's not a whole lot of air between 30 south and New Zealand because of that high being in the center of it. However, north of 30, between Fiji and 30, the isobars are compressed enough where you're going to get some very nice southeast winds. So that is going to give a pretty good sail for those of you that are between, let's say, 18 south and 30 south. So that's sort of the general picture. Since we're on the weather, shall I continue with this?
Yes,
Chief?
I was just going to give the position of Cambria, who's also complaining about.
All right, well,
winds.
I'm going to just take a look at Fiji, which I had planned to do to begin with before we got sort of sidetracked here. And looking at Fiji, the trough that we had forecast yesterday is still quite active and should be upon Fiji very soon. Tomorrow, winds seem to be variable east to northeast, about 10 to 15, but turning northerly. So I think you could expect quite poor visibility in those areas of heavy showers, and the reason for the heavy showers are thunderstorms. Looks like there are going to be quite a few thunderstorms in this. Now, satellite imagery, a few hours old, show heavy cloud over Viti Levu and Kendavu. The Lao shows scattered cloud. So that's sort of the story for the Fiji area. Now the situation for Tonga shows a trough quite slow moving over the Hapais, but that cold front that we talked about yesterday is approaching Tongatapu, and that should arrive tonight. So expect the usual cold front scenario, cloud, rain, and scattered thunderstorms. Water is warm enough and conditions are ripe for this to happen. So for tomorrow at Vavao, winds look to be east to northeast, about 10 to 15, tending southerly. Now for the Hapais and Tongatapu, east to northeast, about 10 to 15, but strong gusts in the areas of thunderstorms. Now, for the Minervas, we've got a bunch of boats, I know, in the Minervas at the moment. South to southeast winds, about 10 to 15, maybe 20. Seas about 2.5 meters. Now, jumping back to Tongatapu, if you happen to be there and want to check your barometer, I took a look at what the airport has to say there, and at 1 p.m. today, the barometric pressure was 1012.1 millibar, 1012.1 millibar at 1 p.m. So if you want to check your barometer and you happen to be Tongatapu, there you go. So yeah, that's kind of a backwards way here of doing the weather setup, but that's what it looks like. So basically, we're going to have very light air between the islands and New Zealand for a while. So that means a motor, either that or you bob around a bit. You could sail, I suppose, if you have the right sails for it. Very light wind. So, yeah, that's the story.
Impatience to wait.
Yeah, that's right. And it could be different. We could have gale winds. So it's one thing or the other, isn't it? To have that perfect passage is somewhat elusive, and it usually is. So here's Chief.
Thank you for that. And it's not just Coho who is, I guess, getting a bit frustrated on board, but Cambria, they have been motoring since midnight on their trip to Bundaberg. They're currently, and they've got so much static tonight that they've just sent an iridium message. 23 degrees, 26 south, 155 degrees, 47 east. So it's really gentle over there. 3 to 4 knots of easterly, gentle southeast swell with virtually nothing. 5% cloud cover, 1011. So pretty frustrating. So they're chugging along 5 knots on a course of 250 to Bundaberg. So yeah, it's rather a Pacific at the moment, now that swell is going down. Is there anybody wanting to add anything, check in or whatever, while you're all waiting patiently for things to become more enjoyable out on a passage? Please call now. No, and hello to anybody in. We've got a couple of boats, Kushla in Minerva, and Pudgeon is back in Minerva. They just can't keep away from it, can they? All right, folks, this is Gulf Harbour Radio. You will notice that I haven't covered much in the way of news lately. We barely turn it on at the moment because the American elections are driving us nuts, because there's all sorts of things going on there, with both Biden making some rather messy statements in his very characterful way, and Harris and Trump neck and neck. So, but what we have turned it on for tonight, the news, is to have a look at the incredible floods in Spain. Boy, I was glad I got out in time. Just one hell of a lot of rain, causing a lot of havoc in the east and south. So not a good time, particularly as it's harvest time for many items such as grapes. So that's about the news that I've got fit to print. David has, I think, another comment on the weather. Here he is.
Yeah, when you mentioned Kushla, I forgot that they have sent in a message worrying about the light air that we've been talking about for the last half hour. They're leaving Minerva, I think, tomorrow, or they want to leave tomorrow, but they are concerned about the light air. So Friday, tomorrow, you will have some air to sail, so that's not going to be a problem. And Saturday, easterlies maybe 12 to 17, That is going to be okay. However, after Saturday, that's when the light air starts. I would say about 28 south. Once you get down to 28 south, whereas Minerva's what, 24. So that's when you encounter the very weak high, 1020 millibar. 1020, not much in that. Very, very flaccid high, if you will. Winds southeast 5 to 10 type of thing. The winds are slowly going to back as the high starts to drift to the east. So the winds are light right through Thursday, mostly easterly quadrant. So anyway, we'll see what happens with that high. If it does increase its central pressure, if it moves a little bit faster, we'll just have to see what the story is. So we'll keep a look on it, at it, and let you know tomorrow. So I wish I could have better news on that, but believe me, if you have the fuel, take advantage of it, because it's seldom that you get very, very light conditions for most of that trip. And yeah, I'd burn the fuel if I had it. That's what we would do. So here's the chief.
And Freydis wanted to do a radio check, but at Muscat Cove, of course, it's so busy with boats that it's really difficult. But they are looking at a Monday or Tuesday departure. So do things, is that high going to be moving off in the near future? He's just having a look. I know, and I don't have any, do I have any information on what sort of boat Freydis is? I don't think I do. If I don't, no I don't, for some reason, and I'm just looking back a year or so, and I still don't have any. So Freydis, if you wouldn't mind giving us an email to update me, I don't know why I don't have any information, but
I'll make a comment here. Give it to me.
okay.
So departing Fiji on Tuesday, I'm just looking at Tuesday on my old beat up computer. My other one is in the other room. I'm afraid it's a long story, but it's not picking up the router, so I can't really use it in our ham room. I'm using my old thing, which it doesn't give me a whole lot of decent information. But yeah, you're going to have, if you leave on Tuesday, first off, you're going to deal with the trough that's sitting over Fiji itself. Winds are going to be southeast. They could be fresh winds in that trough. You could have squalls. You could have thunderstorms. However, the winds will be in a very good direction, and they're basically southeast to east-southeast all the way down to 32 south, from Fiji all the way down to 32 south. This is on Tuesday. And we'll take a look at what happens. I'll jump to Friday. That's the 8th. And that high has not moved very much. It has increased its central pressure to 1024, and the winds are still southeast, and by George, it looks like that could be a decent start of a passage. Southeast winds, fairly decent. Isobars are fairly compressed. Now, there are embedded troughs in this high, and that's not uncommon this time of the year. The water temperature is very warm, and we see very typically areas of convection, and many times they're long enough to be called a trough. But in any case, you'll get your wind shifts, and you'll get your nighttime squalls and that sort of thing. But the general wind is east-southeast or southeast, so not bad. It may be worth looking at carefully. So Yeah. With that, back to the chief.
Okay, thank you for that. And also, when boats are new to me or new for following, if you could remember to give me your MMSI, because it makes it very much quicker for me to look up on AIS with the MMSI, so that would be good. And Paula has just said thanks, so well, that did sound like a good report, a good suggestion for next week. Okay, that's about it, folks. We will be back again tomorrow, same time, same place. And oh gosh, and I told you it was very changeable here. Now we've only got about 60% cloud cover, and it's dry. So there you go. That's what it's been like lately. Cheers, everybody. Gulf Harbour Radio is clear. Wow, well, you're up late tonight, Anna, and you're coming through quite clearly. Go ahead.
Oh, good. Thank you. I have a good copy of here. So our position is 05 degrees 16 north, 108 degrees 51 west. We are on a course of 090 at a speed of 70 knots. The wind is about 12 knots from the south, and the swell is, I would say, 1.5 meters. And today was a nice sunny day, so everything is good on board.
My goodness, boy, you're probably cooking up gourmet meals with those really nice conditions. 05 degrees 16 north, 108 degrees 51 west, 090 true 7 knots. They've been doing 090 for some time now, and 7 knots for some time. 12 knots, very mellow, lovely knots from the south. 1.5 meter swell and a sunny day. Well, it doesn't get much better than that, does it? So, yep, I hope you and Paolo are really enjoying it. Over.
Yes, yesterday we had a good day and it was relaxing, so yeah, it's good. We are making progress, so we still have about 1,800 miles to go, and yeah, so everything is good, over.
And for a few more days, it looks good.
Yeah, and David said for a few more days it looks good too, so you won't need to check on that one. Boy, though, 1,800 miles to go. It's no, is it 1,000 or 800? Could you clarify your miles to go? Over.
Sorry, say that again. I missed you a second, over.
Clara, can you tell me again your miles to go? Miles to go. Over.
Yes, we still have about 1,800, over.
Yeah, that's what I thought you said. Boy, that's a long way. Well, just as well it's nice and mellow at the moment. So, all right. And presumably it's with that boat speed, there's not too much currents to worry about now. All right, have a lovely night. Get back to bed, and we'll talk to you next time. Thanks for coming on, Anna. Bye.
Thank you very much. Have a good night. You too.
Okay, this time, folks, I really am closing her down. This is Gulf Harbour Radio, and we are clear.